It's Ashley,
And Cindy,
and this is Life for Dummies.
because we're real dumb.
Yes, ma'am. What are we talking about today?
I thought we should talk about being a person of your word today.
Oh, I love that. That's
Yeah.
very good.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah, it's super hard to do because, humans were, what is that term? Fallible or something? Imperfect?
Yeah.
And so being a person of your word is, almost impossible. Okay? Or at least it's pretty hard because, at least for me in the past, I wanted my word to, be my bond. And then I also wanted to do everything perfectly. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do all these things perfectly. And that was what I would tell people. So that became my word. But the problem is that I'm imperfect. And I didn't realize how hard I was on myself and how high the expectations were that I was putting on myself. And so then it was like I kept not living up to my word.
Yeah, and that seems to be a big problem, And when I came into this new way of life, someone said to me, if you say you're going to do something, part of this person you're becoming is that you will do what you say. And it was like, whoa, what? Because, I don't know about you, but when I'm sitting at the bar with all of my other bar sitting friends, we're making grand plans, oh, tomorrow we're going to do this and blah, blah, none of it ever happened.
Sitting friends.
That's what we were, that's what we did. But we would have all these grand plans, we're going to do all these great things. And then none of them ever happened, right?
Right. No way.
First of all, I was usually so hungover and sick that I couldn't get out of bed.
Yes.
That wasn't happening. Or when it did, it was just nothing good happened at all, So when I started this new way of life, it was very important for me to be a person of my word and to make commitments and keep them and, realize that there's no such thing as perfection and nothing has to be done perfectly, but you do have to show up. And that was the key. Just show up and it'll be okay.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, first of all, let's talk about how the fact that if I had been true to my word when I was at my bar sitting friend days, okay, right now, this year, I would start working for Pope Francis.
What?
Yeah, that's what I was telling everyone in the bar 6 years ago. I was like, give me 6 years. I'm going to be living in Rome and working for Pope Francis.
Oh my gosh, Ashley.
This is not made up, okay?
You're anyway. My water turned into wine. Jesus did it again.
So dumb. Okay, so basically, yeah, 100%. It was I would always have these grand plans, and then every single day I was sitting in a bar stool.
Mm-hmm.
That's so backwards.
Yeah.
And unhealthy and unproductive.
Yeah. You're poisoning your body, making all these grand plans, and nothing is ever happening because you are a slave to the substance. And that's what it comes down to, is when we're doing these things, we can't be a person of our word. And this is old behavior, right? So when I come to this new way of life, I change my perspective, I change my life. Part of that is doing things I would have never done before, and I have to stop all these old behaviors. Or I'm not going to stay clean, and I'm not going to have this happy, joyous, free life because I will be miserable.
So what's the topic again?
Being a person of your word.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, so...
See, we are real dumb sometimes.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is that until we truly find out who we are, on the inside, and start living what I like to call an authentic life, we can't really be totally true, right? We can't really be true to our word because we're still living in self-denial, and that means we're living a lie. And so it's kind of tough to be totally true to our word and follow on our convictions and whatever it is that is our purpose in life, or at least for me, like I couldn't be true to myself until I got honest and clean with myself about who I am. And then my truth started to take shape in my life, and things started lining up with that truth more and more on a day to day basis.
That's a really good point. And I too felt that. Like, I had no idea who I was. When I took away all of the things that I thought was who I was, but they were actually just my behaviors, it's like, who am I left with? So it was really easy for me at first. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I wanted. So that part was hard for me. But I was told very early on, if you say you're going to do something, this is part of being a person of your word. You do it. If you make a commitment to show up somewhere, you show up at that place. If you say you're going to show up to family dinner on Sunday night, you show up, because that was something like, I'll definitely be there. Sunday night rolls around. It's like, I got way better things to do than that. So that was the beginning for me of being a person of my word. I figured out the rest later on. But at the very beginning, it was just showing up when I said I was going to. And that was also the beginning to some self-esteem as well. Because when I kept my word and I showed up where I was supposed to, when I said I was going to do something and I actually did it, I felt good about that. I followed through. It made me feel better about who I was becoming.
I love that. It's a shot of self-esteem for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking today about how the way I call what we're talking about, I call it growing up.
Mm.
And I have learned how to grow up in this new way of life. And I used to act very much like a little girl, who would throw temper tantrums, having to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't fully grown up yet. However, I'm totally on my way. And the fact of the matter is, I do see on social media, like, my generation likes to make fun of ourselves because we're like texting, oh yeah, sure, we'll be there in a minute. And meanwhile, we're getting in bed.
Sounds like someone else I used to know. 5 minutes, 2 hours later.
Yes, exactly. That was totally me. I remember, like, my really good girlfriend, she came over once we were going out. This is in, like, DC. And she shows up because that's the time I gave her. And I literally had just gotten back from a 5-mile run. Like, I hadn't showered. I hadn't started to get ready. And she's sitting in my house for 2.5 hours. Like, why am I friends with this girl?
Seriously.
And so there's something about learning how to grow up that this way of life offers.
And I too, that is exactly what happened. Is my old behaviors were no longer acceptable because I was behaving like a child. I was throwing temper tantrums. I was being a spoiled little brat, with entitlement issues and like, why? Who are you? And I literally had to grow up here. And there were people to hold my hand and walk along this walk with me and show me what growing up looked like and what that meant. And it's different for everyone, but for me it meant stop harming myself on a daily basis. Be accountable for your word, be accountable. Stop taking everything as a personal attack. Surrender every single day to the disease of addiction and just realize that if you choose to go back to that, your life will once again become unmanageable and you will return to the same person that you've worked so hard to not be anymore. So everything we talk about here, it all fits together like a puzzle, right? Like I don't pick and choose which parts I do. I get to do all of them because in return, I get this beautiful life today.
Yes, I love that. And the other thing is that self-sabotage was a big part of my past life. So when we say be accountable today to the things that you tell yourself to do, or that you're going to do, or you tell others that you're going to do, we also mean, like, don't take on too much. Because a lot of times I would tell myself that I was going to start waking up at 5 a.m. every day, and go to the gym every single day and eat healthy 3 meals a day and, do all these great things. And I hadn't been doing any of them. And it's just like, that's not how it works. Like, how about we just start with one small accountability, right? And let it progress slowly and become a habit in our life. And once we get some confidence, that confidence shot, move on to the next thing. Give yourself time and patience.
Yeah, absolutely. If you put too much on your plate, once again, you're setting expectations for yourself that are unrealistic and unattainable, right? And then you're going to let yourself down every time, like Ashley just said. So start with one small change. And then we add a little bit to it each time, and then the next thing you know, like I said at the beginning of this, it becomes habit. It becomes a new way of life where it's just what you do and it's not such a struggle anymore. Give yourself a break. Try it.
You got this.
Absolutely.
We love you.
Love you guys.